Last fall, I gave my writing students a powerful exercise taken from the work of Dina Metzger. And the basic premise was to choose a traumatic incident from our past, a moment when we felt betrayed or abandoned or alone, a moment when an essential part of ourselves went underground. We began by writing the actual story of that event as it really happened. And then the next week, we rewrote it, this time creating a fictional version of the same event in which we inserted a new character, a character who was not really there at the time, an ally, someone whose presence would have changed the course of our lives. Then we continued writing the story of our lives as if this ally had really existed. Very powerful writing. This is the opening of the piece I wrote. I chose to write about my premature birth and the death of my identical twin sister. The nurse character in this story did not really exist, but she lives vividly now, as does my sister in my imagination. It wasn't time. I knew it wasn't time. Something was terribly wrong. I was being wrenched out of my warm and watery home, out from the arms of my sister, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. We had floated together for what seemed to us eternity, 6 months, 3 weeks. We had grown from the same egg and the same sperm. We shared the same DNA. Her fingers were my fingers, her heart my heart, her tongue my tongue, identical. But it wasn't true. We weren't identical. I was bigger and stronger. I stretched more vigorously, rolled more actively, pushed at the boundaries of our round, soft home with more force. My elbows rocked the surface of the other world, my heels, my buttocks, my feet. My sister lay quiet and docile beside me. No one but me knew she existed. I looked out for her, my weaker half, my earbuds attuned to her every move. My eyes, though closed, watched her through thin, veined lids. My arms surrounded her. My heartbeat, firm and sure, urged hers to keep pace. There were murmurs and songs from outside that faraway place we could not imagine, but all we really knew was our own wet and wonderful world. We had everything we needed: warmth, nutrition, and most of all, each other. And then it happened. Walls pressed in on me. My sister forced out of my arms. I was pushed and squeezed and wrenched away, knowing with every cell that I was not ready. And so I went screaming from the only home I had ever known, away from the only person who would ever truly hold my heart. In that moment when fate pushed me out into the world, I knew I would never see her again. A bright world assaulted me. Harsh, loud, scratchy sounds. Too loud, too bright. In our watery world, I had been strong and vigorous and free. In this new world, I was a shadow, a tiny person struggling to live. The white coats put me in a sealed plastic box, shoved a tube up my nose, and ran a tiny needle in my arm. I was taped and prodded, laid on white cotton, and left all alone. My new home was called an isolette, and no one was allowed to touch me. That was the rule. Preemies lived in sealed boxes, away from bad germs. 2-pound, 12-ounce babies didn't live in 1956. No one expected me to survive. And if I did live, I would be blind or retarded, or blind and retarded. I lay there in my clear plastic box alone, too small and exhausted and frightened to cry. And then a woman came into the room, a woman wearing a white hat and a white uniform, tan support hose with seams up the back, and white sensible shoes. She came in at night when no one was watching and unlocked the door to my cage. She lifted me into her arms and sat with me in a rocking chair. She unbuttoned her crisp uniform, unhooked her Playtex living bra, and laid my tiny, pale, wired body onto her chest, wrapping a soft cotton blanket over the two of us. And then she started to hum, and I could feel her hum extend through her golden skin and enter me, and then the hum extended into a song. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Mama's gonna buy you a mockingbird. If that mockingbird don't sing, Mama's gonna buy you a diamond ring. And she whispered in my ear, you are cherished. You are beautiful. You will never be alone. I love you. As she sang and whispered and breathed her full-bodied breath into my tiny, struggling face, my heartbeat stabilized and my body relaxed, and I realized in every warring, shell-shocked, grieving cell that my life did not have to be about loneliness or struggle. That was not to be my journey. I had a rightful, blessed place in this world, and I did not have to fight to claim it. I had a birthright, and that birthright was love. We sat together like that, my body absorbing her wonderful golden light until dawn, when she knew the day shift workers would start to arrive. I'm sorry, my precious, she cooed. I have to put you back in that wretched box. But I have a present for you, a present for always. She turned away and after a moment came back holding another tiny baby in her arms. They say she died, she told me, and for them she will always be dead. But not for you, my precious. For you, she will always be alive. Her name is Vicky, and she is your sister. She is your soul, and she always will be. She laid Vicky down beside me, and I heard that familiar beat that matched my own, smelled the smell that was our smell, and I wrapped my scrawny little arms and legs around her as she burrowed her tiny head into my neck. No one else will be able to see her, the angel in white told me, but she will always be with you. And so we curled together in that plastic box, our hearts beating as one, my arm draped protectively over her fragile chest. The angel in white smiled and backed out of the room. I never saw her again, but she gave me a gift beyond measure. I may have only been the size of a 2-pound sack of rice, with my whole crazy, wild challenge of a life before me. But she made sure I knew in every cell, in every part of my being, down to the mitochondrial DNA, that I belonged, that I was whole, and that my sister, Vicky, would always be with me.